That's been a special joy, and it is the element of something special and something different, that spark of some difference that sits with people. Some of it humorous, and some of it profound and deep and quiet and so on. That has attracted me and inspired me over the years. People that are really raised up to be special people and are prepared to step out and actually do things. So the first thank you, in a sense, up front is to special people like you and many others that have strangely, incredibly strangely in the last few years got involved with this funny thing, this elusive thing called Westhill. So that's the first thing. I guess the second thing is the place. And the place has been pretty special for us, and I guess for a number of you. And there's a tinge of sadness, obviously, from our point of view in leaving this place. But there is a sense that something has to die for something new to be created. And we had a strong prompting, as you know, to close this place, but more specifically to establish something in the city. And so it is a question. Before I hand you over to the inimitable Jim, let me just say in one line, so that I don't have to answer all your individual questions. My health is good. It's 6 months since the operation. Whilst I still have to sort of carry this thing around with me all the time, and wine tastes foul. I have to drink one glass under great duress, and once I've got through one glass, the alcohol takes over and I can enjoy it. So I am feeling a lot better, and it means that I can delay the next lot of surgery until I've actually moved and we've resettled in Sydney. So I'm feeling quite perky at the moment. So Jim, I'll hand over to you and take it from here.
Good. You don't have to speak, it's okay. We have an array of people who are going to be coming up and talking, and we wanted to give some scope for spontaneity, but not much. So if you find yourself fitting within that aperture of some but not much, then what you need to do is start winking at me, or blinking at me, and I have a gift to this. No, not yet, Michael. No. Some people just go for it. Oh, Bernard, right. Yeah. Bernard. He's not even winking, you see, and he's been volunteering. Oh, Bernard. Have you got?
Yes.
Is it right?
Have it
under your jumper? Is it? Right. Your assistant has it. So there's various people who are going to be speaking, and from their so that'll be good. And someone else running in with this. I think it's a shotgun. Looks like it. That's right. I'm not the MC. It's Michael. This is for trumpet, is it? Hello. How are you? I believe in all causes equally. Whatever it is, he will be playing that later on. The thing about Westhill is, you might have noticed that it attracts a lot of wind players. Every so often a keyboardist is on hand, but a lot of people who work with wind. Was that funny? Now I'd like to ask this fine young woman to come and speak to us. Thanks, Joe.
I better not get too close to that. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. I've been asked to share something of the beginning, because we've come to the end of the beginning. And it's good to look back and remember, and often people see things as they are in the present, and they don't always realise where it has come from and what has gone before. So I've been asked just to share something of the what has gone before. And as Michael said, this is for us to the end of the beginning began probably about 10 years ago. So it's been a long time coming. And it began with just, first of all, a prompting to sell our family home, which was a big thing to do. Our daughters weren't that old, really. They were in their late teens. And a sense we were to buy something out of Sydney. And that was 10 years ago. And we started looking at the beginning of about 93. And the first area that we looked in was Bundaloon, and we saw this place in Bundaloon, and it was the most strange feeling that as we started to look at these properties, and I hated looking at real estate. Michael loved it, but you know, I was there. Something started to just excite our spirit, and we actually didn't quite know what we were going to do. We were looking for a property, but the vision that we have now hadn't even really started to take shape. So really it was just this prompting to buy. And as we started to look at these properties, and over about a 3-year period, we would have looked at several hundred up and down the east coast of Australia, from Byron Bay down to sort of Bateman's Bay and beyond, and out west to Bartos and Braidwood. And we were driving real estate agents crazy up and down. And we were tramping over the most beautiful properties that you could believe. Even saw this property 2 years early in that search, and absolutely hated it, and said, you know, this place got no soul, and you know, and proceeded then to spend the next 2 years telling people, please don't take us to this property, we don't like it. And so, but during this 3-year period, there was even a period when we were almost looking at properties full time. Now, if you can imagine, we lived in DY, and we would get in our car early in the morning, and we would drive to Braidwood one day. We would drive back out to Bowral the next day. We would go out to Bathurst the next day, looking at properties and thinking, is it going to be today we're going to find the property that we're to buy? And I can't believe we did it. I couldn't do it now. 3 years. And while we were doing that, a seed was planted in our spirit. And that seed is what we're celebrating, I guess, today. We began to get a sense of what we were meant to be doing with this place that we were looking for. And there we began the seed. As we were looking, it was almost like we were watering the seed, nurturing the seed. And we began to get the sense this place was to be used for leaders. It was to be a place that would bring people together that had passion. But even the clarity of that wasn't there in those early months. But we almost needed that 3 years for the vision to take shape. So it's a really good lesson that things don't just happen like that. This was a slow, steady, and we had to stay incredibly focused, because during that time we put our house on the market, and it was several months before we got a buyer, and then there was a 5-month delayed settlement. And then we had an abortive attempt to buy a property in Berry, which would have been completely wrong, but it was stopped, which meant we had to rent then for 7 months. And we still hadn't found this place that by this stage we were calling Wherever Valley, because we kept saying wherever we're going to end up. And so there was this, we had to stay really committed to this seed of an idea, of a vision, and we just stayed with it through all this time. And we rented for 7 months, and then it was during that time we would go around in areas. So if people met us, and some of you will be in that category, if they met us during this period, if we were excited about Robertson, people actually thought we were moving to Robertson, but maybe we were imagining ourselves living in a property in Robertson. And so we would move from area to area, and finally we moved back up into this area, and this property was still on the market 2 years later. And real estate agents were sort of driving us by and saying, you know, no, we don't want that property, we've seen it, we don't like it, don't take us to that property. And we actually ended up back here by mistake. We'd come up, one agent had rung us and said there was this property and described it. Didn't happen to mention it was this particular property. And it wasn't until we were halfway up Evans Lookout Road we realised where we were going. And because the agent hadn't been here, to do her a favour and the appointment was set up, we said we'd come back. But the interesting thing was we recognised this time, and so we had to do this double flip from having said, we don't like this property, we're going to buy it, that we recognised that because we were much clearer about how we were going to use this space, we recognised the value of this space second time round. We realised the people, and many of you will bear testimony. I think Nina, I've seen Nina out on that piece of grass sometimes looking like she was going to fly. And it was like we knew that people that were coming here were in constrained environments most of the time. We had this sense they were in hotels with low ceilings, constrained offices with closed windows, you know, aeroplanes, that sort of thing, and that the people that were going to come to this space was unconstrained, and those of you that have been here will bear testimony to that. There's a freedom about this space. There's no fences. There's national park straight out there, and the high ceilings release creativity. And so, to our amazement, this place that we absolutely hated first time round, we realised was the space that we were to buy. And of course, we then moved in, and that was a bit of a shock too. But over this last 7 years, of course, this place has taken shape. But that was the getting here. Now, before I get off, I've got a very special thank you that I want to do, and it's Carol.
Carol.
We'll probably cry. This precious lady, many of you will know her of the smiling face that sits behind us in the kitchen and has her dinner hiding behind the flowers. But she's been, I didn't even stop and think I was going to need someone to help me in this place. And Carol came out of the woodwork in that first year. And I hadn't ever even had a cleaning lady in Sydney. I mean, this was a whole new ball game for me to have someone coming in, and I was a very independent person, but Carol came in and we've just knitted together beautifully as a team. I'm going to really miss her, actually. And I just want to honour her today because she's really helped make these retreats. She's been to most of them at some point of time, and she's helped get ready for them, and she's just been there, and she's been a good friend. And I just want to thank you publicly today and give you a Westhill teddy. And say thank you. Over to you, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks, Geoff. Is Ian Kilminster here? I was just thinking, as Joy spoke about Westhill, we're going to have people who will be talking about what's been, and people kind of moving through to what is and what will be. And so we're going to cover all those bases. But it's good for us, before we find ourselves, a bit like a wedding. One of those things that sometimes you get to the end of a wedding and wonder whether you had it, because you only have one. But I remember it. But, it's one of those things where... So I thought before we kind of get through this particular wedding, it'd be good for us to stop now and just listen to some Westhill Highland music from the hills. Just whatever sound comes out, and just as you think... No, I'm not talking about all of you guys, I'm talking about someone in particular. This is not a group kind of primal session. Ian, where are you? Are you there?
She's ready to play.
Okay. So think about being on the Westhill. Come in, Ian. Open that door.
It's best outside.
There's a best outside. Keep going, one more bar, Ian, one more bar. That's great. One more, yeah, that's right. Let's hear one more, right? Ian. If you do one more, we'll pay you. Ian, just have one more ready just towards the end, yeah. Westhill, a brief memory of Highland pipes. Always wanting more, but it had to go. Roxy. Now, just to keep Roxy going, I've invited Andy Small to speak next. Andy's been such a strength to us all. And he's a guy that I think probably, I won't say more than most, but more than many, whoever they are, but more than most has been really subverted by the Westhill uncertainty principle. Being a captain of industry, and I found out things that Andy Small is the chairman of. He's the chairman of most things that I find out about in Sydney, which surprised me, when you see him. But anyway. So I thought, you're the chairman of that, are you? He goes, yeah. So I'm not sure what he does in his spare time. Because obviously he hangs around being a chairman. But being a chairman and coming from Zurich Insurance and selling that zigzag boat that used to be around, he was strong on deliverables, obviously, and he came to Westhill and was often encouraging all of us to deliver. Or what does this mean? And it was salutary, whatever that word means. It was good for us, and we'd kind of nod and grin and said yes, delivery. And gradually over the years, he got us to deliver more, or appear to anyway, and we subverted him with tremendous uncertainty. And Jenny has been pleased with the development. Yeah. It's an unusual form of consultancy. It takes a while, and but I'd like to introduce you to the well subverted, uncertain, but most definitive Andy Small.
I used to be uncertain, but I'm not sure now. John's very good with names. No, it's Jim, isn't it? Yes. I got voted to talk about the past, and I somehow listened to Tim Dixon last night saying he was 31 and looking forward to most of his life in front of him as the future, and I thought, God, I don't know, what am I doing here talking about the past? I want to be part of the future as well, so can I join the future too, please, is what I was talking about the past. I first heard from Michael when he was a management consultant, I think it was probably about 15 years ago, canvassing for business. He made 2 attempts, neither of which worked, and we didn't get to meet. And then the 3rd attempt was really around Westhill. And I think he got used to the idea that I was probably a very difficult person because I hadn't responded to his first 2 approaches. So on the 3rd, he started to talk to me about Westhill over a cup of coffee, and I said to him, it's fantastic, I love the idea, I'll come to your first retreat as a guinea pig. And it was as if he hadn't heard me. Kept launching English. But you don't understand what we're trying to do, you've got to hear it. I said, I'll come. And it was another half an hour before it finally registered that I was over the line. I think my sense of most of the people, particularly in the early days, that were attracted to what Michael and Joy were trying to do were people that were either at or approaching a crossroads. And certainly, I think most of the people that were on the first Conversations retreat, which was September '96, were actually at some crossroads in their own lives or just about there, wondering what direction to go in. And I think found that listening to the stories of other people's journeys so far through life and where they'd got to helped them to reflect on where they'd got to and were better able as a result to think about where they wanted to go. I was a couple of years away from a planned reasonably early retirement from what I was doing, and I knew there was a huge world beyond, and I wanted to go and explore it and find out about it and get away from being action man all the time trying to make things happen and deliver things, and actually go and reflect and think and explore and find out what else was there. But if you're going to do that, you need to know somebody that knows something you don't know. And this was a wonderful bridge for me between what I was doing and what I've now started to get into in all sorts of other ways. And I've met a tremendous amount of fascinating people here, and I've had the privilege of listening to their stories. And if there's one thing that seems to connect people that are fascinated by this place, it's that they're all at some level wanting to swim against the tide. There's the sense in which we're all carried along by the mainstream, and those things you don't like, you turn around and try and swim back. And you very often think you're on your own, but when you come here you realise there are actually quite a lot of other people trying to swim against some of these tides as well. I found, listening to a lot of people's stories here, quite a humbling experience, a lot of insight I've gained from listening to people. People who, if you sat next to them on a train, you probably wouldn't think that they were amazingly special people. I've since realised that almost everybody I sit next to or potentially could talk to could be extremely special. They don't have to be photographs or caricatures of people that are larger than life that you know. They're just, in fact, like us. So I think the experience of being here really is the one word that does capture is actually nurturing. The spirit of, I'm not sure I'd think of myself as a rare bird or as a rare bird leader, but it certainly encapsulates, I think, what happens. For Michael and Joy, and I thought Joy told us the story of how all this came about beautifully, the risk, the personal risk that they were taking was huge. The uncertainty was huge. And I see that really as a massive investment on behalf of all those people who've had the opportunity of being part of this since, and of gaining something that they would never have had any opportunity or chance to have gained otherwise. It's been, I think, an incredible investment in what's now being called social capital, which is a greater trusting of one another. And not enough of that happens. There aren't enough places where you can go, where you can sense that connection to people and want to develop that. Somehow there's a feeling too many people want to go past you in the street in a hurry. They've got too many other things to do. They don't even want to stop and talk. So I want to just say a very big thank you to you two guys. It's been a privilege to be involved with this right from the start. And I'm sorry there aren't more people from that first conversations here to talk about it, but I think they're scattered around to some extent. But it's been terrific. It's been a privilege, and I've enjoyed every moment of it, and I thank you for that opportunity. As Joy said, this really was the end of the beginning, and I think Westhill in the city is going to be different. It's not going to be so much about place. It's going to have the focus on the connections between all the people, and exactly how that'll work out, I don't think we know yet. But I hope by the end of this afternoon we'll have at least a better idea of how some of the people that are going to start playing around with the ideas will want to get us involved and want to get us excited. The fascination with this at the 3 sessions that were held in Manly to try and sort of envision what Westhill in the city might look like was just so enthusiastic. And I think towards the end of those sessions, Lloyd, who will be saying a few words later this afternoon, stood up, was just so excited and said, "Come on, we've just got to get on with it. You know, we've got to stop talking about this and do something." And a man that likes delivery, a man after my own heart. I thought, this is great. So I think the responsibility on all of us who are going to play a part in Westhill in the city is to honour and respect the legacy that we've been given from the work and the effort that's been put into this place. And I'm very confident that a new generation of rare bird leaders will join us and emerge and take us to give us the shape of Westhill in the city, whatever that may be. So thank you again, guys. It's been an honour to be part of it.
Thanks, Andy. I think Andy does have a place in the future. Who would like to see him there in the future? 73%.
Those wins?
Oh, yeah. Selfish person. And I love the touch. I mean, I love it. I love the socks. I love the hair. I love everything. Now, the next person who's going to speak is extremely intelligent, but hides his light under a bushel, so you'll never know. But he's Scott James, and he's a great chap.
Thank you for that. Good start. Lovely. I've been racking my brains for probably the last 4 or 5 days thinking about what to actually say. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually to rip off other people, which is normally what I do, typically from history, which is my great love. It's Aristotle talks about in rhetoric to have ethos, logos and pathos in anything that you present, and so I want to talk about Westhill in the same context. In terms of the ethos, my credentials, I've known Michael and Joyce since about 1996. I've been to conversations a couple of times. I've been to emerging leaders, and I've been to the Gunk Forum. I've been with my wife, with my child, and without. She can't be here this afternoon, which is unfortunate. Otherwise, she'd be having a good laugh at the moment. The main thing is I've seen Westhill as a place and as an institution grow. So Westhill as a place, and I suppose I'm moving to the pathos. I'll get to the logos later. I'll just bandy it around. I've seen sort of garden beds being laid. I've seen hedges grow. I've seen the work and the care that's been put into Westhill as a place. I've felt the sense of peace of coming up on a Friday night or on a Saturday with sort of the cares of the city and the cares of my work. I'm a management consultant. I have a great time. I love it not, but that's a different story altogether. I live in a box, basically. But coming up any time and the pressure and the stress just washes off, and I find that this is very much a place of peace, and it's a special place in my mind and my heart because of it. I've been out to the bush, spending time out there in wet weather, in dry weather, and there's been nothing like basically being out there by myself and listening to the wind whistle through the trees, and you can't hear the sound of anybody, and you can't hear your own breathing as well. The same thing, being out there in absolutely pouring, drenching rain about half an hour into the bush, wondering how exactly you're going to get back dry. But equally that sense of peace and that sense of silence to the extent that you can almost hear the land breathe in its own right. It's very special. This is really a series of vignettes. Westhill, the place, is very special. I think Westhill, the people, are infinitely more so. I've had the privilege of meeting so many of you over the last 4 to 5 years, and I have grown and developed as a result of that, just meeting so many different occupations, different viewpoints, different walks of life, and seeing people grow over that time, or seeing their perspective has only widened mine. So I may work in a little box, but outside of that, I've grown as a result. So that would be my personal thanks. I've moved from sort of thinking about things corporately and economically to, at the last session, I think I was discussing revolutionary incrementalism, which is a delightful concept. Unfortunately, it's going to take about 2 to 3 lifetimes of work to bring it to fruition. So anyway. Oh, good, thank you. Pleased about that. Anybody want to help fleshing it out? Other vignettes. Roxy, always here, always fun, always bringing up things to feed her with, and spoiler, but anyway, that's the other side. Books. My book collection has now grown astronomically as a result of being up here. It's gone from management texts to philosophy to sociology to politics to human rights to you name it, it's now in my bookcase. Same thing, it's probably now going to take me several lifetimes to actually read through it all. But every time I come up here, Michael sort of sits down with me for 15, 20 minutes and says, oh, have you seen this? Have you seen this? So it's on the way back down to Lura, the bookstore, or into Abbey's in town. It's like, there you go, damage comes later. The final point that I think comes into this is that this place is special and will always remain special for me. I think the people much more so. I think really that what I take and what each of us take from Westhill is that, if anything, we take that with us, that Westhill as a concept and as a driver for everything that we think and that we do is within us. Thank you.
He's the hairy one.
He's the hairy one.
Oh, that's Wayne. Oh, excellent.
Here.
On a more serious note, we have a fellow called Wayne who's going to present a fairly...
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
I'll give you a long introduction. Wayne's hair first started growing in the 50s. In the 70s he had a trim, you know, because of split ends coming through. And, then he went solo after that and made his name in a well-known band. But yeah, he's going to sing a fairly serious piece. I think it's an operatic. It's a thing from the...
He was going to.
He's gone now, is he? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, here he comes. Give him a hand. He's got his stand.
Do we have a pianist in the class?
We do indeed, yep.
Because I would much rather have someone else. Would you be able to start reading?
Who knows?
Yes, Lord.
Probably just the tune the chords out.
The bottom line is introduction.
Okay.
Good. Irish. Wonderful.
I hold your hand in mine, dear. I press it to my lips. I take a healthy bite from your dainty fingertips. My joy would be complete, dear, if you were only here. But still I keep your hand as a precious souvenir. The night you died, I cut it off. I really don't know why. For now, each time I kiss it, I get blood stains on my tie. I'm sorry now I killed you, for our love was something fine. But till they come to get me, I shall hold your hand in mine.
A touching piece. A touching. Now, I need to say this now. It's hard to believe it, and it's true what I'm about to say. That person, Wayne, is Joy's brother. True. So you see how madness runs in the family, but it's been not so much suppressed by Joy at all, but... That was a great introduction to our next speaker, who is both flamboyant, passionate, and very handy, I'm sure, around the house. Lena. You can sing or dance.
a very hard act to follow, I have to say. But I think it encapsulates the wonderful diversity and variety that comes to Westhill. I was the one who was doing this, I think, out there. Was it this morning as you saw me? No. I was in the bush, you didn't see that. And I haven't been here for a little while, which was really the reason why I had to go for a very long walk, because as you say, we tend to really get boxed in back down there in the flat of the city. And while I was out walking, I made a few notes in my own head, which I then came back and put down and scrolled down, so I've got them here. So I'll go through them just to remind myself of what I was thinking of earlier. And I came up with some words which, in my head, encapsulate, and it's a personal story really. It's what this place means to me. You know, I've been coming here, I think, since 1997, and to various events. The words that I came up with were sanctuary, solitude, solace, reflection, discussion, discourse. And I added a couple, both that Joy and Andy, I think, were talking about. I thought, yeah, that certainly resonates with me. And one is that sense of freedom, and also that nurturing element, because as we go through our own various journeys, we do need nurturing and we do need solace and we do need that sanctuary. When I say the word sanctuary, I don't mean it as a way of removing yourself from the reality of the world, because I don't think this is what this place is about. This place is a place where you can actually nurture those ideas that you have to challenge the world. So you're not removed from the world when you're here, because the very notion of coming to meet people with similar but also with very different views is that nurturing element and that incredible process and product that comes out of discourse. So for me, the capacity to come and to meet people from different walks of life, and because I come from the rarefied atmosphere of a university, you meet other people here who come from the rarefied atmosphere of the commercial world, which bring its own praxis or its own interaction, and as I say, it's always a very good product that comes out at the end of it. So we don't all have similar world views when we come here, but certainly we are richer for the process of having discussed it all, and I think that's the element. One of the other things that I thought about is why we come here is that very notion of trying to make a difference to the world. And if there's anything that drives me in the stuff that I do, both at the university and in my community, is that desire to make a difference, that desire to say, in my own little small way, I can change the way things are, hopefully, in my view, for the better. And that's the essence of what Westhill to me is all about. It's that capacity to see things to march to a different beat, perhaps. And the way I see it at the moment in particular, and I was talking to Stephen earlier, and maybe I do have a fairly negative outlook at the moment in terms of the way my views of the world are. I think out there in the wider community, we seem to be so much more involved in lifestyle and materialism and individualism as opposed to community and the collective responsibility that community brings. And I guess if here as a group we can bring our ideas together and make a difference and share those ideas beyond Westhill, back in that urban environment that we all come from, or most of us come from, that the whole world will be better for it. So I suppose the message that I take away from this is that, and we get that nurturing element, that there are people who walk the same path and want to make a difference, that's what's important in life, is the capacity to put something back into your community and to have the passion that goes with that, to be able to change things that perhaps you think are not necessarily able to be changed immediately, but slowly. And perhaps an incremental revolution aspect is not so bad. I've enjoyed it immensely and have to keep it going down on the flat. Thank you.
Great. Next fellow, and all the people who've spoken are good friends of mine, technically. But this one is a good friend as well. He's, down through the years that I've known him, he's sought to pursue things with a singular passion, and made a stand and pay the cost, and seen lots of good things happen. Geoff Mosman. Geoff Mosman.
I've always liked to keep Jim in suspense, ever since I've known him, which is a few years ago. When I first came to Westhill, it was because I'd been flying on a regular visit once a year to sail in Victoria on a little 6-seater plane and landing in a paddock. And the last time I went there, we went for 24 hours and we just talked for the whole 24 hours. We never slept. It was about 10 or 11 of us. And we talked about Australia and the future of Australia and where it was heading and what place we played in it. But on the way there we ran into an enormous storm, one of the biggest storms that ever hit Sydney, and we were all nearly killed. So that was my last visit to sail. And I wanted to find a place a little closer. And I'd met the Morgans down, I think, in Manly, walking around on the Corso. They were often on the Corso, I'm not always sure why. But they were, and always near the Brighton Hotel. Or at least that's where we met, outside. And they told me about their vision for up here, and invited me along, and I think I was at the second one. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. The second one was really interesting because there are so many people from different backgrounds, which I really enjoyed, and there was an enormous amount of intellect, which I also enjoy because I haven't got tremendous intellect and I like listening to others who do, and that tells me whether I do or I don't. And I like bouncing ideas off people, and we just discussed, and it was better than sail because we actually went to bed that night and we could remember what we talked about the night before. But there are very few places that one can go to and meet so many different people and discuss various topics. In my line of work, there were lots of topics that we weren't allowed to discuss. One of them being multiculturalism, because in my area of welfare you just didn't discuss it, although a lot of it was part of the problem we were all facing. But to be able to meet with groups of people from various backgrounds, different intellects and different views, and being able to listen to those views without getting knives and guns out to kill each other is rare. And unfortunately in this country, this is my personal opinion, we can't do that a lot. So that's what I liked about here. We could bring up topics, we could discuss things. We didn't upset each other, unless we got into politics. And Nina always got upset with that. That's because we worked together in Manly with politics, and that's why we look so old and grey now. At least I do.
Yeah, that's right.
But, so that's what I enjoyed about here. It was the freedom to speak, the freedom to think, and the freedom to pursue what our passions were in terms of where we go in our particular lifestyles, and importantly for me anyway, was discussing this country and the changes it's going through. And I wouldn't like to see that change. So when you move, because I don't like the idea of you moving from here because I live up here, but I suppose if you have to go down into the smog, I'm happy to follow down. And I think it's really important that we look carefully at the next phase and don't lose some of this one. There are a lot of things in the past which we should keep, but we tend to think because it's in the past we throw it all away. So when we do move, keep some of the things, and one of them is being able to be open in our talking and to bring about change. Change is needed in our country. It sounds like I'm a good politician here, but I'm very passionate about that, and we need to be thinking and discussing things intellectually instead of just reacting. And if you read your newspapers and watch your television, it's nonsense. And no in-depth discussion about anything really, and lots of people dictating. The other thing too is the personal journey that we all take. Little did I think after I was here that time that things in my life would change as dramatically as they did. But I guess as I'm looking back now over the last 4 years, these things happen and you have to go beyond where you are, which is my next phase. Where I'm going from here, I'm not too sure. At the moment I work in the funeral parlour and I don't think you can get anywhere near the end of anything as you do there. But even that has given me another look at life, and so I guess I want to encourage Joy and Michael, don't give up, stick with it, look for new things. For the rest of us, we need to support them in what's being done, because there's no place that I can think of that you can meet like this and discuss the things that we do. So it's all encouragement to you, stick with it, get well Michael, we still need you around for a long time yet, and thanks very much.
Thanks, Geoff. The sound of a trumpet. Some people need a less than subtle introduction. It's a good sound. And before I invite the last representative of the past to speak, Peter Bartos, I think it'd be good for us to have a trumpet interlude. I'm feeling... So if you could grab your trumpet there.
I assume you're having a group of musicians. I'm not a soloist.
Aren't you? We're all soloists here. I'll play. I'll sing along with you.
If there's a group of musicians.
Okay, piano player, could you supply security, depth, context, texture, a bit of feminine affirmation stroke for the male trumpet player, please? What key would you like the piano player to play in?
I brought a mute so I can be in the back.
I see. That's great.
I just assumed we were going to be part of a musical ensemble.
Oh no, I'll join. I'm in the band.
This is just to make a sound. A symbolic sound. Percussion on the side over there.
Percussion. We've got some percussionists. Yeah. Who would like to play their instrument? Yeah. Okay. Oh dear. Lena. Okay, now don't drown out the trumpet, okay? He's playing his mute. Okay, the band's called Once Upon a Time in the West. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Trumpet Interlude in B minor.
I think this is like a fanfare. You're calling for a fanfare.
We're calling for, general uncertainty principle, yeah.
None of us have been thought about this.
No, certainly not. Lucas Foxy, yeah. He's in the band.
On your trumpet? Yes, on my trumpet. Well,
I certainly wouldn't feel confident.
okay.
My word, he's...
Well, there you are.
This helps you out. That was very good. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
You have to do one. Hey, Chief, you have to do one now.
Okay, well, yeah. No, you did that without even moving your mouth. It was incredible. Vicarious trumpet experience.
I still went red.
You still red.
He's trying to get out of it. Pass him the trumpet.
No, I'm going to play something else a bit later on. Thanks for that. That was unique. When the band plays later on, we'll hear some more. Actually, we'd like you to work on the last post too. Now, Peter Bartos, I don't know Peter very well, but the part I do know, I really appreciate. And he's a man who does a lot of stuff in consultancy and psychology and dreams. And so whenever I have a dream, I come and, not every dream, actually, obviously, don't know each other that well. The deep dreams, the sophisticated dreams, the intellectual dreams, rather than those other dreams. And it's getting to the stage now where Peter's beginning to appear in my dreams. So I don't actually get to see him. He's actually... Peter! Jim! Anyway, so the man of my dreams, Peter!
That did sound like the last post for me. I'm being asked to reflect on the past as well, and so I thought I might just mention very briefly, you'll be pleased to know, very briefly, otherwise it will be the last post, just a few memories that I have. And I'll start with my first meeting with Michael. Michael and I were involved in doing a little project for the Centre for Peace and Conflict Studies. And Michael, at one of these meetings, pulled me aside and started talking to me about leadership. And one of the memories I have is a thought that I haven't revealed to Michael. I remember thinking, what's a singed bird got to do with leadership? So I wasn't quite clear about it all. But he was very enthusiastic, and I thought, he's the right sort of spirit, and so he invited me very graciously along, and I had no idea what was going to happen, and so I turned up, and it was a nice small group gathering, and I met a few of the singed birds, and in fact I was very impressed. People were very open and very authentic. They shared their personal stories and their aspirations, and it was quite inspiring for me in the process. And so I gradually came around to see what rare bird had to do with leadership. So it was a learning process for me. The next memory I have is of a sack race and my dread. Where I guess it's part of the initiation process. Has anybody been through that? It was, we were having a sack race out the back, and of course you've got to participate. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to fall over and they're going to laugh at me. But luckily I fell over and they laughed at me and things were all right. So I think I passed that little test, which was good. The other thing that has impressed me very much is being included in Joy and Michael's circle of friendship. And we all know that they've been through quite a personal journey, and to be included in it in a way that has been a very authentic contact, inspirational to me, and just being accepted by their circle of friends as well has been wonderful. So I feel very privileged, and just to know you all, and I've certainly been very privileged to be part of Michael and Joy's journey, and I'd like to continue to be part of it. It's a very important part of my life now. My last reflection, so I don't go on too long, you'll be glad, is just a little bit about the place here. Like everybody else, I've been impressed by the spirit of the place. There's a sense of delight in coming here, and you can sort of let down your persona and just relax, and people take you as you are. At least that's what I feel like. I hope that's true, even when I fall over. So I think my sense is that the spirit of that is going to continue. So at the end of my little talk here, what I'd like to say to Westhill Past is, may Westhill continue to live on for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. That's great. We're going to have a time of blessing. We're going to bring this person to life. We're going to pray for him. He's been dying to be a rare bird ever since he joined, but I don't know, it's just fake to me. Fake. But nonetheless, we're going to give it a go. Sorry, I'm from the Bob Dylan thing. I don't have culture, I just have, So we were going to, we're not going to bury Westhill. We come not to bury Caesar, but that's it. I don't know this song, but the guitar always looks good. Okay, now this song is called Forever Young. No, it doesn't actually start like that, but you can sing this, you go, who knows Forever Young, the Bob Dylan song Forever Young? Peter, you know it, don't you? No, you don't have to stand with me, please. There's enough room on the stage for, yeah. No one knows this song, Forever Young? I'll sing the... Okay, ready? Yeah. Forever young, forever... Sorry, I'll just take it down a bit. That was before the, yes, no more kids for me. Forever young, may you stay forever young. Anyone know that? No. Oh, okay, it's pretty simple. Idiots can learn it. So, give it a go. I'll sing it one more time and then you can sing with me. There is a verse that goes with it. I don't know what that is, but it's somewhere on this guitar. Nina knows it, but she's again hiding her Dylan under a bushel. Forever young. Sing that? Forever young. That's amazing how definite that was, wasn't it? Wish fulfillment. Okay, we sung the first part. And then the second part goes, forever young. Forever young. May you stay. May you stay. Forever young. You gotta get that. Young. Come on now. Young. That's it. Forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay. Forever young. Oh, it's just beautiful, isn't it? Now, I don't know what the verses are like, but I know it starts in D. May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. And may you stay forever young. Forever young, forever young, may you stay forever young. I just practiced the second one. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you da 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 do 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 do. La da 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 da. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, hey, and may you stay forever young. Here we go again. Forever young, forever young. May you stay forever young. Now let's totally make up the third verse. May Westhill have a future. May her red birds always fly. May Mike enjoy Morgan. Da 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 da. That's da-da-da. You get that. You get the import of that, don't you? Forever young. Forever young. Dude, this is my gig, all right? Forever young. Forever young. For may you stay. Forever young. Well done. Well done. That makes me feel silly. Anyway, Maria.
I thought this was a very serious moment, and I had to provide some music
You've got to
that
turn
would be.
the corner.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, you're going to have to do that work because I'll just provide the musical backing for that. This is some music from Telemann's Fantasies. So I'll just play a couple of movements.
Great. So we're going to give thanks, and as we do, obviously in our own way, we want to give thanks as well. So what I thought we'd do is we have a few moments silence, and in that time, just it's a great thing to give thanks. There's two words that really strike me very strongly whenever I hear them, is to give honour and thanks. And when you honour something, you appreciate the value of it, and you start to dip into it and know just what a treasure it is. And when you give thanks, you express that, because it's what that thing is placed in your heart begins to find expression in thanksgiving. And so we give honour and thanks for this place. And so let's, you can close your eyes, or you can open them, or you can stand on your head. But let's spend a few moments just thinking about some aspect of Westhill that people, place, event, and give thanks.
Heavenly Father, I give thanks that we got here safely this day from Avalon Beach, and that Roland drives me to places I wish to go to, we both want to go to. And I thank you for Joy, who managed the cooking when she first came here, because she and I are not very good cooks, but by your grace and help, she managed all these years. Thank you for providing for her and helping her to get good at it now. She must be a five-star hotel chef, but thank you, Jesus,
Yes,
for
Lord.
being with her all the time. Amen.
Amen. If different ones want to speak out their word of thanks, pray for Joy's cooking. Pray for Michael's hair. But no, seriously, if you want to speak out some thanks, let's speak it out into the air, right? Nice and short. Thank you.
Just acknowledging that in a world of conformity, that Michael and Joy have created an opportunity for the essence of the individuality and spirit of man to come forth and to create, I guess, what is innately within us, that we build a world and not organisations, but build a world and communities that we would choose to live in rather than those that are inflicted upon us. And I think Westhill, in a sense, allows the individuality to come forth and to be interdependent rather than just independent. So thank you for that.
Yes.
I thank you, Jesus, that because of my Maltese culture, I'm such a busybody, and I'm so nosy. And when Joy and Michael came to the Avalon Roman Catholic parish over there, my eyes saw the Bible, and my eyes saw their new faces, and I spoke to them. Otherwise, if I wasn't so nosy, I wouldn't have met them till this day. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Loving Father, I'd like to thank you for the beauty of this place. I'd like to thank you for the glorious garden in which we see your handiwork, the trees, the flowers, the beautiful lawns, Lord. And I just thank you for the pleasure that we've all received over the years, Lord. And I just thank you for the special place that Westhill is.
That'd be the phone, wouldn't it?
Somebody giving thanks.
That's right, Geoff. Set the phone hook up, yeah. Yeah, one or two more, and then.
Thank you, Father, for the faithfulness of Michael and Joy, and for their perseverance and their love and their graciousness of spirit. And may their influence, even if not as direct has now continued to pervade this vision, dear Lord. And bless and multiply it. In Jesus' name.
Yes, Lord, we thank Michael and Joy and for the way they've served you here, Westhill over the years, and for their example. And we just thank you, Lord, for the work that you've done through them to now. And we just pray for your continued blessings on them as they continue to work when they return to Sydney. And we just pray that you'll open many doors to them and that many hands will reach out to help them as they continue to serve you. And we ask this in Jesus Christ's name.
Yes, we give thanks for this place and for all the events, conversations, exchanges that have happened, and the richness that that's brought to so many lives. We also give thanks for the value of the price that Mike and Joy have paid, and it wasn't some kind of martyr thing, but a desire to give, and in that giving they live all the more, Father. But we thank you for what they've given to us and who they are to us because of their gift. And we pray that you will continue to draw out the value that's in and on their lives. We honour them, Lord, and we honour what they've given to us. We give thanks for every decision that's been made, every agreement that's been forged here, and the strength of that, Lord, as it headed out to do battle with the real world, in the sense of the world out there beyond a nurturing environment, and even in the faltering of that resolve, or the achievement of that resolve, Father, there's something in the human spirit that grows as we seek and pursue the good. So we thank you for the good this place is, and we thank you for the good this place has multiplied. And we give thanks. Good. Well, we're now entering into the second phase. Now I'm aware that the main bathroom is just behind me, so if we could all just close our eyes. Just in case you kind of look, because some people are looking at me really longingly, like I know I can play guitar, but just relax. So there are two, and where about supposed to?
Through the laundry.
Right. Okay. No one look as people. But if you want to stand up for a second, turn around, shake the leg of the person next to you. You feel free. We're going to move into a second phase. We're moving into the future now. And we're going to have some help getting there. A few moments of just relaxing, coming apart. That's right, just like that. Oh, you're going to... I should have been briefed. Just a bit of piano music there, Mr. Musician. Once upon a time in the West, there was a couple called Joy and Michael, who bought a big house in the mountains, and got a whole bunch of redbirds in it. Okay, that's enough from me. What do you think about me? Now, we're looking for a man who could fill the transition between the old and the new. We searched high, we searched low, and we couldn't find anyone. Oh, here comes Andy Small. A recent returnee from the bathroom. They're all over the place. There's something about the bathroom queue, isn't there? But we felt that the best man to kind of embody the transition would have to be esoteric. They'd have to be definitive when the need arose. They'd have to be able to proceed with mathematical precision. They'd have to have a good depth of field and the capacity to think on their feet. And we can think of no one else except not her. Away! Xena, warrior princess. This was a job for a man. As much as we would like. Think I'm scared of women? I am. Not just any man. Lloyd Dawe. Thank you.
Janine, you better come back, I think. Warrior princess. Well, we have to transcend. We have to put Heisenberg's uncertainty principle behind us. If he had anything to do with it. We won't go into electronic orbits of probability theory. Nor can we rest our laurels on revolutionary incrementalism, much as Scott and I would have loved to have gone. It's really sort of just taking small steps in a radical way. Can you handle that? Scott? Yes! We're in the same group, you see, so there we go. Well, how do I set the context for the speakers to follow who are going to talk about the future? Well, I guess it's some reflections on how are we, where we are, and what are we doing right now. Well, I guess in setting that context, we've honoured the past and we've given thanks for it, and we recognise that we're not leaving it behind. I think that's very clear, because it's moulded us into the people that we are now. And so I, for one, would not be up here, but for Westhill. You know, I wouldn't have changed. I wouldn't have rubbed shoulders with people who I can now honour and give thanks for, you know, from a whole wide range of contexts that I would never have had the opportunity to meet before. So for that, we're very, very grateful. But I guess that in reflecting on where we're going and going to the city, inevitably the changes in Michael and Joy's life led them to reconsider what will Westhill be like in the future now that we've gone through and are still facing this illness. And we've shared that journey with them. Painful as it's been for them, we honour them in the courage that they've shown in that. And so we do, you guys. We honour you for that, because that's part of our life. All of us have gone through some pretty tough times. But this is a heavy one. So that's been part of the context, hasn't it? And whatever Westhill in the future is going to look like, it won't be in the context of Joy and Michael's home, which this has been. So that's one part of the context that we might reflect on. Of course, the conversations that we've had over the last 4 or 5 months, I guess, when a few of us have met at Manly and thought about what would this look like. And so we've all sat on the floor with paper and we've all reported back. And I remember the last time we reported back, I'm not sure if anyone in my group was there. Yes, we sort of held up a black sheet. It was most embarrassing because there was gaggles of sheets everywhere. But nevertheless, we've sat down and we've thought about what would it look like, where would it be, and all sorts of ideas have come up, like corner pubs and things like that, you know. I thought, wow, okay, corner pub, yeah, okay, I'll go with that for a bit, you know. What will it be doing? Who will the people be like who will come? Is it going to be a sort of a club? Do you have to have membership for this? Could I invite my friends from university to come and have a beer in this place? Would we have small discussion groups? What would we do? Would we communicate on the internet? Yeah, maybe. So all these things were being talked about, and so the conversations that we've had about what it might look like led us to the point where, as Jim said, in the end I got up and said, we've talked enough, let's start. Because I'm sure that everybody who took part in those conversations and everybody who didn't probably came to the conclusion that Westhill wasn't just going to be a place that we could now sort of launch into and buy, and that would be it, and we'd have a full program for the next 10 years. It's not like that. It grows on you, it evolves, it's got its own life. So there's an uncertainty about it, which I love. So those are the things that have characterised some of the conversations that we've had over the last few months. But I suppose there's another theme that I just jotted down as I listened to everyone speaking, and that was that we really do want to incorporate the future into the now, because the reality of our life experience is now. What's happened to all day when we go home, tomorrow we'll reflect upon, but it'll be gone. If it's changed us for the better, then Westhill will have succeeded. And that's really what we're on about. So it's people who are already making a difference, getting together to share their experiences so that they'll be encouraged to go back and make a bigger difference where they can, small though it may be. So incorporating the future into the now is what we're on about and what the following speakers will talk about. I want to leave you with just a metaphor from Arnhem Land in our north. Many of you have never been to such a place. The elders in the community where I've been had the privilege of supporting schools and communities in Northern Territory. The elders at Yurakala described the coming together of the two cultures, black and white, in terms of water. A very interesting metaphor. Knowledge was thought of as water by these men and women, and the water from the land that came down off the escarpment cascaded over the cliffs and came down towards the sea. They described that water as indigenous knowledge to me. The water from the sea was the knowledge that I stood for, that I brought with me. And where the two met, in river systems and in billabongs, the two came together in an extraordinary place they called a Gama. And so in constructing things like school curriculum or community decision making, they honoured the water from the land and the water from the sea. Unfortunately, the water from the sea has almost over-swamped, the water from the land on occasions, and it hasn't been equal voice. But nonetheless, the coming together of people from all sorts of backgrounds, artistic, literature, the arts, the sciences, law, theology, whatever it may be, this is what Westhill's about. And sharing that life experiences and listening to other enriches us all, and will make our nation a nation to be honoured and one to be given thanks for. So now we'll look forward to hearing what all these people are going to tell us about the future.
The future happens faster than the past, and so I'm going to ask Lynne Colley to come and I'll introduce her after she's spoken.
Well, I'll do a little bit of self-introduction, that might help. I'm Lynne, I'm 30-something, I'm 34, I'm 35 next month, and it's an incredible privilege to be here today. I might just put this down a bit so that... Can you just help?
Sure.
Where are we going from here? What I'd like to do is engage a different part of our brain now. This is going to be, because we've been here for a while, and I want you to think, okay, this is for everybody. Everybody, you have to now think of your favourite candy or lolly, okay? And don't say anything just yet. Think of your favourite lolly, all right? Now this is going to be a quick exercise. Turn to the person next to you, especially if it's someone you don't know, and explain why you are like your favourite candy. Okay, ready? Go. You can talk more about that later because I just wanted to get you stirred up. But some of you will have discovered that you're like your favourite candy because it's licorice all sorts and it's different every day, or you're smooth. You're smooth like chocolate, or you're sweet, or you're you take a long while to unwrap. Was anyone a wrapped candy? Anyway, the reason I wanted us to think about this is that I was trying to work out over the last week what is the artefact of Westhill, okay? What is the historical artefact that we would take if we were going from here down to the city about Westhill? And what I think going forward is that it's not about a thing, it's what's inside us and what connects us. And that's so important. That's been important from the beginning, but it's even more important now. And there's been a lot of people talking about the place. What is the place going to be? And we've had a lot of thinking about that, but it's more than the place. In fact, part of the reason that there's no place for Westhill at the moment is that that's something that we've got to work on in the virtual environment. We are connected in the virtual environment that is Westhill in the city at the moment because there is no place. And I think that's an incredible privilege for us to be able to build on Westhill in the city before the place exists, before the actual type of seat or the settee or the meeting place defines Westhill in the city. We can define it. We can create that fabric by the threads that join us together. And it might be a temporary thing, or it might be an actual fabric that we're weaving, that we're starting to bring together, that will continue from the fabric that's already been developed up here in the mountains. Okay, so whatever it is and is going to be is something that we're creating, and it's linked to place in the historical sense, but going forward, okay, Westhill and what it means, certainly to me, is going to be defined by those relationships that we build, even if they're only on a temporary basis. I've been waiting for a word about what it was about the future, and the shared experiences going forward are going to be really important. I'm working in the city right on the harbour, and it's like I honestly am less than 20 metres from the water, but it's like I'm in a desert. And I feel very much that what's happening and what's about to happen is going to be like the flood hitting. I know it's going to be really special, and it's no coincidence that when we did the visiting that every separate team came up with water. That's so important because this is a refreshing for the people who are Westhill people, okay? We will discover what the truth of our relationship is, and that truth is part of what will be the artefact of Westhill going forward, okay? What is true? Those dialogues where we talk about what really matters, that is going to be part of the fabric that we build. The culture that's developed up here, that's Westhill, is portable because it's inside of us, okay? For some people it's caramel jersey, for some people it's licorice all sorts, but the value in what we have is when we all combine together, and we're like those big packages of lollies that you get at Christmas, and every time you put your hand in the bag it's a different lolly, okay? So I think really what I came back to is that we are the artefact. What is in us, the spirit that is in us, is the artefact that we're taking with us. So it's great that it's portable. It's uncomfortable. Part of the reason that we're uncomfortable is that we want a place. We want a fireplace that we can dance around or have our coffee at or whatever. We don't have that at the moment, but you know, it's not always supposed to be comfortable. And if we've learned anything from listening to what Joy said about the last 10 years, is that incredible stuff comes out of discomfort. All right? So there's a reason why it's not comfortable about the place at the moment, and that's fine. We need to be fine about that. We need to say, okay, that's okay. In fact, it's all right to feel uncomfortable, and what do I learn from this about what I'm seeking from Westhill in the city? For me, it's very much, Westhill offers me the opportunity in the future to continue to be integrated as a person. I don't have to be someone on Sunday and someone on Monday. I can be the same person through the week. And I learnt that shortly after I was here for a retreat, and it's just changed the way life happens with me. And I think that's an incredible gift that Westhill has given me, and I'm sure that that will continue in the city. After Michael called me and said, I want you to talk about the future, I just got this word, skilled servant work. And in my church, one of the things we've been trying to do for the last 2 years is to equip people for skilled servant work. And I woke up the other day and I thought, what I do every day is skilled servant work. And Westhill has given me that knowledge just by being here and by dialoguing with people, or even just talking with Joy and Michael over a cup of coffee. That has confirmed that to me. And the tent is moving to the city, but the people under the tent, some of the people will stay the same, some people will go, new people we hope will come, but the most important thing is that the boundary lines have fallen in pleasant places and the future is secure and delightful. And it's very much, I think, the water theme is so important, and we're washing into a new era. And I'm just about finished, but, and I didn't know until 5 minutes ago that I was definitely supposed to do this, but this is a psalm. I don't know if any of you know it. It's a Longfellow poem. I think it's about the only one he wrote, which isn't extremely morbid, but you have to get through the first four stanzas. So I'd like to share it with you all because it really says something about the future and the purpose of going forward. And I hope it speaks to you. Okay. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream, for the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returneth, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow finds us farther than today. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still like muffled drums are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant, let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present, heart within and God o'erhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing over life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing, shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labour and to wait.
But I'd love to hear the bagpipes again, because we're about to hear from the Scottish Highlands one more time. I'm going to, Warwick's over there, put up your hand, Warwick. Warwick is a hard-boiled and hairy lolly. Sometimes very hard to swallow immediately, but after a while, it just really goes down in a very, very nice manner. And so we're hoping he might live up to his hard-boiled reputation by coming and speaking with us. Without the, it would be great to hear him, wouldn't it? I'd love it. But we just suffice with one beat of a clock, that's fine.
Well, am I the ding or the dong if it's on the beat of a clock?
Well, Westhill for me is a very, and as indeed are Joy and Michael, a very recent experience. I've only come to know it and been a part of it since New Year's Eve, when we all danced about and performed and did crazy things at Michael's behest. Something that is, if people get to know me, you'll realise is very much not me at all. And so for me, as much as I thoroughly love this home and its surroundings, and as much as I'd be eternally grateful and forever joyful if Michael and Joy were to just say, well, why don't you just have it? It's okay, we'll move to Sydney and you can carry on Westhill up here. This is not Westhill for me. This is a wonderful building, but it's not. And it's lovely surroundings, but it's not Westhill. Westhill is the people. Westhill is a place for me of the mind and the heart. It's a place where we've dialogued, where we've disagreed, where we've come to a greater enlightenment about what it is to be human. And it is a spirit that embodies a sense of hope. I'm a mere 41, and as I was saying to someone I think earlier on today, I grew up in a time when the television ruled supreme. I watched an endless diet of World War II movies where we always won. I grew up in the shadow of the Vietnam War and was convinced that I would eventually go and fight in that conflict, thankfully spared. And I've watched all manner of things on TV and so forth, disaster after disaster, and I see now Australia really in quite an awful space in terms of its soul. I believe that we as a nation are losing our soul. But to take Stephen Baxter's half-full glass that he has so ably gifted me with once again this weekend, the thing that Westhill is to me is something that gives hope, because I find that I am not swimming alone, as someone has already said. I find that there is a something that is still common within people of good heart. I see that there are those who are willing to facilitate the process of people growing into an understanding of what it means to leave behind a good heritage, to actually take people beyond where they are to where they can be. And so for me, I'm really excited that Westhill is actually going to Sydney. It's much less convenient considering I live at Katoomba, but I'm excited that the spirit that is Westhill is moving, the cloud is moving, so to speak, because Sydney is where the people are. Sydney is a centre of commerce. Sydney is a centre of government. Sydney is the place where the thing that Westhill is can have the greatest impact. And so I'm excited to see that more and more people will come into contact with the spirit that is Westhill, that more and more people will drink from that spirit, imbibe it, more and more people will become more than what they are, or perhaps actually discover who they really are, and then share that with other people. And that's wonderful, because if our nation needs anything right now, it needs a soul, and this is a healthy soul. I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm saying it's healthy, and I believe it's health-giving. And so, just as the very first Christians saw themselves as walking, as it were, with the Spirit of Jesus with them, I would say that as we go to wherever we're going and we do what we're doing in Sydney and beyond, that we walk with the Spirit of Westhill with us. And this stuff, it means nothing. It's no more significant to the life of Westhill than my clothing is to me. And yes, I will get off now and I will leave the clothes on. Thank you.
Two beautiful daughters following on from several handsome men. It's always good to balance it up, isn't it? Michael and Joy have two beautiful daughters, and one's just recently returned from London. Hello. And she has this amazing sound, that thing she's got has the little camera goes ding dong every time it turns off and on. But she's not going to dance for us today. No, she needs a bigger stage than this. This is it's a big thing. But her sister, Angie, is going to sing. I'll just match the mic.
I'm going to stand back from it. It's a bit funny.
It's a bit funny. I'm just going to walk through there.
Okay. You want to sing with me?
No.
No. We've already heard you today. When Mum and Dad asked me to get up and do something and they wanted me to speak, and I said, oh, no, thank you. I've seen Westhill from quite a different perspective, I guess, being a daughter. And I know Tanya would say the same, that we've probably had the ear bashing that none of you have had right from the start, years and years of it. But it's really exciting to see it here. And I think I just wanted to share a song with you that I wrote actually about friendship. And I wrote it specifically about one of my friends. But it's something that I have seen happen here, is that people have found friendship, and I know that my parents are very close to a lot of you here, and I know that you all feel the same way. So I just wanted to share this as something to reflect on, I guess, the intimacy of some friendships. Driving in the rain, I remember how we sang, laughed and cried until the sun had died. And we were young and free, and the world was at our feet, guiding the way into the realms of history. As I remember how things used to be, I can't control the tears from welling up inside of me. My friend, my friend, my friend, where have you gone? Don't run away again. Leave me stranded here, alone again, without you. Without you, to you I write a letter in the silence of this hour, each thought a word that no one else has heard. For you my soul is yearning, please listen as I call out of the depths of loneliness. Wait for you, my friend, my friend, my friend. Here you are again. You're standing here with me, and I'm no longer here alone with me, 'cause I'm with you. I'm with you.
Good. Just going to check this here. Zena. Janine's, how many people know Janine? Do they know? She's pretty hard not to know, really. But if I do, absolutely. She is tremendous, really. And I'd like to ask her to come and speak and dispense some of that tremendosity.
Oh, I just want to put it down a little bit lower.
Not too low, that's as low as it gets.
When Michael first asked me to speak for him, he said, Janine, you've got about 5 to 7 minutes.
make sure you keep it that way, otherwise I'm going to take the microphone away from you. And I said, but you know I don't need a microphone, Michael. It's got nothing to do with a microphone. Lots and lots of mixed emotions today, and leading up to this point as well. And everyone knows I'm quite an emotional person because there's something about Westhill that just does that to me. I don't know quite what it is, but it does. This has been a place where I have felt for the first time in my life I can actually let go. I can actually be me and really let go. So I better take a deep breath now because I haven't got to the first minute yet. Dear, oh dear. It's been a very interesting ride for me. I know that Michael and Joy and some of the other guys know what this place has done for so many people. It's just such an incredible place. But the place being the place, which a lot of people have said today, it's the people that have been here in that place that I have had the absolute privilege of getting to know. Because where I'm from and what I've done with my life so far just pales into complete insignificance because of the turn I took when I first came to Westhill, where Michael and Joy are probably the most incredible people I've met. Only because they saw something in me that not everybody does. And here was a place where you could come and be yourself, hang loose, completely let go. God, if those walls in that library could talk. Woo! Scary thought. Yeah, to actually feel safe somewhere with a group of people. When Michael first invited me up here, I had no idea what I was coming into. But it was a feeling, and I think that's what needs to continue in the city. It's a feeling that you have, that you just go, I'm an intuitive person. These are intuitive people, and I feel safe, and it doesn't matter where you are. It's really quite incredible to reach a point in your life where you are hanging out with people who get you. You know, you're not so lonely out there when you're floating around thinking, there's something in here, I don't know what it is, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where to go, and I don't know who to talk to, except to lie on a couch and pay somebody $120 an hour to help sort that out, whereas that's really an option for me right now. It wasn't about that. It was about finding what this is and having people, for goodness sake, nurture that in you. It's just such an incredible feeling. So when I used to come up here, that would be both my personalities. When we used to come up here, we used to come down off the mountain and not know what to do with ourselves. Because it was all this, I've met these amazing people. I used to go home to Mum and say, I've met these amazing people and I don't know what to do. And she's like, what are you doing up there? Who are these people? And the craziest thing is trying to explain that to people who haven't been here. But you know what? Why try? Why try to explain it when there's just something that has given you the opportunity to share this amazing space, with this amazing air with she knew. Get off, Janine! No, I think the exciting part about Westhill moving to the city is that we take what we've had here, and a lot of people have said it today, but to take that and just place it somewhere else. It doesn't matter where it is, like Lynne was saying, it doesn't matter. It could be at the Independent Theatre, it could be in my lounge room, it could be wherever it happens. It's still going to happen, you know? And for to have that opportunity, to have, as I said, that nurtured in you, to be able to, I've disappeared for a while, because I came up to the mountain, and then disappeared for a while because I didn't know what to do or where to go. And I think the important thing now about moving to the city is that hopefully will be maintained, no matter where we are. There's that sense of regularity, because some of us need that. Some of us need it. We need a big fix of Westhill. It's really important to keep us moving, you know. And because we might move in certain circles where we don't find people with such diversity, there's nothing more exciting than sitting in a room of people with different ages and different colours and different backgrounds and different stories. There's nothing more exciting than that. And what we have to realise is what we can learn from other people. Yes, it is all about me, but, you know, and we've talked about that at the times, the sessions that we've been here. But it's really about taking that time to listen and to learn from other people and what they have to offer. And they have so much to offer. But I think it'll be a really interesting exercise to do that in the city, for us to slow down a little. I think that's what the mountains gave us. Westhill here gave us that, 2-hour drive, de-stress, and really enjoy it. But it's going to take on a whole new meaning to find exactly that in that pace that's down there. But I still think we're going to be able to do it, because it's all about us. It's all about us. So one last thing, and I'll finish on because I have to go now. Winding it up, is thank you to Joy and Michael for being just such incredible people. For someone who was out there floating around on her own, to finally find somewhere where you saw something in me that firstly made me respect my heritage, which I was so angry about. I had such a hard time growing up in this country that I hated looking this way. And I hated being this colour, and I still hate having this nose, but I'll get over it. Just things where you just think, there's just some things you need to respect about yourself and your heritage and whatever comes with that. And I'm happy for that, because it's also tapped a part of me into me that I now totally respect, totally love, and it has a lot to do with the decisions I'm going to make, with the difference I will make in this world. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm lucky, I'm privileged to have met most of you and to know you still on whatever, in whatever capacity that is. Thank you.
The future is secure in the hands and the heart of people like Janine. I'm not going to say too much, which is always an introduction to something. But it is, when you have thoughts within you and you don't know how many people are having them, and you finally meet some people having the same thoughts and you realise you're not mad. It's such a discovery, isn't it? And that's the beauty of a place like this. You can express the heart. And now I'm just going to look down here. I think it's this is the door prize. Whoever wins this gets the bear. Tim Dixon. There's no introduction. Next step.
I'm glad to say that I probably had more to do with the closure of Westhill than anything else. In fact, I've been contributing to the closure of this place since I first came. Lynne said that there aren't any artefacts to take from here, but ever since I first came, I've been taking books. Unlike Scott, I didn't wait to get to the Lura bookshop. I just put them straight in my bag. And it's nice to hear Warwick saying, this place is not about, Westhill is not about the place, the things, because it means I don't have to put them back in the city either. I bump into Michael and Joy quite a bit. I have a place up at Mount Vic, and I'm here a reasonable amount. And I might be charging down with pineapple spikes out at Totterello's in Katoomba, or at Brad's Mountain Deli Cafe in Lura, and often we'll touch base. And it was a few months ago that I was at Brad's Cafe in Lura, and sitting down and doing some kind of reflection and thinking and reading and all those sorts of things. And Michael and Joy were there. And we had a chat about the whole plan for Westhill and the dream of Westhill in the city. And for me, that awakened something which has been dormant for about 4 years. And that was a vision that for me was in 98. I was a very specific place in the Rocks where I was interested in very much the kind of thing that we're talking about, to get an environment, a place where you could have a forum for people to discuss, to engage, to discuss issues, and to think of solutions, to think of ways forward, to think of things that we can do together to make a difference. I think that we are desperately in need of that. The forums of community that I guess allowed that kind of engagement in the past either don't exist now because of the nature of our lifestyles, or are effectively being destroyed by a kind of managerialism and government cutbacks and all those sorts of things, universities and so forth. And as a result, combined with the kind of the professional environments that we work in, where we tend to be quite limited to the groups of people who are doing the same things that we do, we don't mix so much with people from different backgrounds, except in a purely social context. So you might, in a party context, or dinner parties, or might be a sports club, or because you've got kids going to the same school or doing the same sort of activities. That doesn't give the same legitimacy to sitting down and really getting into things, talking about things that matter and really engage us, because it's somehow inappropriate to do that by the side of the rugby field, or outside the school gate, or at a cocktail party. One of the things that Westhill can do, and Westhill in the city can be about, is to create a legitimate forum for that kind of interaction. 3 things that I see for Westhill in the city. One is access. Access in a way that you just don't have when you're an hour and a half, 2 hours out of the city. So this has been a time of intense engagement for a small number of people. Part of what I see in the future for this dream that's been developing here for the last 7 years is a much wider access to Sydney, to Australia, and one which doesn't need to be as intensive, but which can draw people in. And you've got the access there of millions of people being in Sydney, and the opportunity to bring people in for a low risk kind of engagement, because there is risk for people to come up here wondering what on earth is this weekend going to consist of, especially when they have those invitations about funny hats and favourite hats and so forth. So there's that access. Another part of it, I think, is engagement, the opportunity for engagement. If you think of one of the parallels, I think, in terms of the things that we talk about doing is what the Sydney Institute does. And I guess a number of you will be aware of the Sydney Institute, might be members. Sydney Institute does an outstanding job, and I think it's been part of a kind of growing revival of the public lecture that's been going on in Sydney, at least, in the last little while. But the Sydney Institute, if you know anything about it, is extremely structured. Jared Henderson will never let anybody go a minute past 7 o'clock when it finishes, and it's very much a one-way thing. It's a talk, and there might be a few questions, but that's it. It's a great forum, but it doesn't take you into a process of engagement with issues. It simply gives you information. One thing that Westhill is about is engagement, and the opportunity to be in the city, to have that access, but to engage people on an individual level, on a smaller group level. And we have the access, not just to people, obviously, who are part of the community that we have now, but to a much, much wider community, and to bring people in. And the impact, or the outcome of all of that, I think, is third thing, impact. The opportunity for impact. Being in Sydney, being in the heart of our country, the incredibly self-important heart of the country, admittedly, but being in the part of the country that clearly has so much influence, gives us tremendous opportunity. So I look ahead to this opportunity for the access, the engagement, and the impact that has been the dream and the developing dream of the last 7 years. And so there is always sadness in the closure of a time, but boy, there's a lot of anticipation for what this can be for the future. And I'm just delighted to be a part of that.
baby. That's great. Sorry, that's strong. So we're coming to a finish here. So, well, thanks, Tim. You should. You got a future in. You know, I'll vote for you. Not that that means you've got a future if I vote for you, but nonetheless. This is Westhill, but there are other places further west than here that are also west. And there's a young man who has been building a place out further west than Westhill, down the road, west. And he's a good friend. He's actually a very good friend. I quite like Rob Wood. So I don't like anyone else here. No, I like all men equally. But Rob is a good soul, a good friend. And in a couple of minutes' time, after I finish speaking about it, he can come up. Thank you. You give him a hand. He goes over.
I have the opportunity. I'm going through a little bit of a crisis at the moment. I don't know whether I'm a sort of a man-sized Chiquito bar or I should be the Milky Bar kid after what we went through before. So I'm having a slight problem, in fact, addressing you and what persona I should take on in that regard. It's interesting looking up on the wall, for most of you who can't in fact see it, there's Martin Luther King over there has his I Have a Dream speech, which he delivered many years ago. And the concept of dreaming and visioning and seeing something that lies in front of you is certainly an aspect of my life which I'm fortunate enough to be able to embrace. And I go back to a time when the Morgans came into my life, and interestingly, Michael, I in fact engaged on a project to work with a wonderful institution in this country called local government, and for which he's been eternally not grateful towards me for introducing him into because of the various challenges that you've had there. But in particular, I think of a time up at Terrigal, and Michael and Joy were up there and we were preparing for a conference, and then we toddled off down from the Crown Plaza, a very pleasant place that it was for that weekend, and we went to a restaurant, and for the first time they spoke of their vision for Westhill and what it meant for them. Now, completely unbeknownst to them, I had already embarked on a vision and a particular passion of my own, and as Jim's alluded to, it's a property which is about 35 minutes further down the road from whence you turned off to come down to Evans Lookout. And it's a farm, and had a very strong sense of the fact that it was going to be part of a future endeavour. I bought it 10 years ago, and then literally told nobody about it for 5 years. It was part of that visioning sort of aspect that I in fact had to keep quiet about what it was about, until almost that there was this extra chapter of it opening up as to what its purpose would ultimately be. So, interestingly, at that fish restaurant there in Terrigal, we were slurping away on the Chardonnay, and we stood, all of a sudden they were talking about what they were about, and for really one of the first times I felt comfortable in fact talking about what was my vision, and that has its own particular aspects to it, but there was this enormous amount of similarity, continuity, potential for consistency that lay with both Westhill and sort of what Jim sort of calls Westhill, further out from here. And so that time was particularly special. It was also quite interesting because Joy had a passion, and the girls probably know that she has this sort of quirky thing about cows. In fact, there's a few cows over on the mantelpiece over there, and so we sort of realised that there was this opportunity for somewhat of a melding of the ways of the calling that I had and also what they had. Now, that then takes on a peculiar aspect, as we're all aware, with the decision that's been made to in fact leave this place, because before that impetus came upon Michael and Joy, because of in part, I suppose, some of the illness that beset Michael, was a strong sense 2.5 years ago I had to start to build on this land, and so I set to it, and you'll be glad to know there's been quite a large house built down there,
and I just thought I've got to get on with it. So I got on with it, and then all of a sudden it's finished, apart from the fact that I've got to put what they call a house paddock around this, because there's 120 head of cattle on this place, and they have this bizarre habit of wanting to come up and rub themselves on the side of the building. So they have all of these sort of grease marks and hair marks on every corner of the house and on the verandas and all that sort of thing. It's a very unique architectural touch, as a matter of fact. We're just going to leave it there, but we're trying to basically keep them away from doing that into the future. It scares people sometimes. I certainly see the bull out there sort of rubbing himself up against the house. So we've got to just stop him from doing that. I'm not going to mention his name in these august present for those of you who were here last night. So I suppose I stand here able to provide some measure of hope and continuity of the opportunity that you've had to, in fact, retreat out of the city, and that there is an aspect that, as much as, in a sense, the heart and soul goes down the Great Western Highway, that there will still be this opportunity to, in fact, liberate yourself from the strictures, the demands, the trials, the toils, the temptations of the city, and to be able to go out to what is a different place. In that it is a farm, it has there is something quite unique and different about it. Like I have kangaroos that actually come in and visit every day, so the roos sort of, and they had an emu for the first time the other week, wander through, which was quite bizarre, really, to in fact see an emu wandering through your place. So for me, it's been a privilege to be able to interact with Michael and Joy over these last 5 or so years, to be able to share a vision, and not for one or the other to take ascendancy over the other. It's a mutual sort of thing, and now we've got this opportunity to be able to use that property both for some of the particular purposes that I have, but very much for it to be our out-of-town experience moving forward, which I know for many of you is particularly important as part of your individual journeys. So I'd certainly like to say thank you to both of you for sharing your vision and allowing mine to sort of sidle up against yours, and for us to sort of move down that pathway together. So thank you for that. And frankly, I'd like, in a very real sense, to invite all of you. I thought I'm just going to start to sound like I'm closing the Olympic Games or something. And I would like you to come forth at the next the next meeting. Yeah, and the winner is. That's right. No, for you to be able to over the fullness of time and as we move forward, for you to welcome you down there as part of the Westhill experience. So, in that sense, thank you very much. And bless you guys. Thanks.
So, that's a good provenance in. You haven't got a name yet, have you?
No. Well, no.
Well, no, yeah, that's right. I can see why you're having trouble with the name, with that kind of impersonation. A name? No, name, sorry. Good.
So that's still before me. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see that kind of, as this place moves off the map, the opportunity for management consultants, people from education to come up and rub against your building. The consultants will charge for it, no doubt. This is where what's your name? This is where Mike's writing gets more and more obscure towards the end of the program. Liz James to lead. Liz James isn't here. M and J. Maria. Something about Maria. Hello. How are you? We're going to go into just an outro. And that's why I've asked Maria just to almost present herself. Yeah, so the past. What's that, Michael? You sure? Have you got a name for Rob's property? Yeah, so I won't say anymore because Mike messed with my brain just then. I thought like, so he's ruined my. I had a really good thought. It was really deep and profound. we're going to kind of commission Westhill, and we're going to send it packing. We could almost have the last post, really, couldn't we? Also, we'd like to hear the bagpipes, but also we're going to hear the flute. But we're going to go into a commissioning time, and we're going to take all that we are, and all of our heart desire and passion. And the beauty of this is it's not so much, rah-rah Westhill, as it were. Obviously, we're celebrating what Westhill is, but Westhill is not a thing separate to us. It's something that, it's like a campfire. We can place the aspirations of our heart around and share together in. And so we're going to move the fire in our heart, and the fire that Joe and Michael have helped to kindle into the city. And the beauty of it is, rather than kind of creating just a space there, or spaces and places and people, to be also able to reach down into Lithgow. Could you imagine that? We could go as far as Lithgow and see that fire burn. Maria, thanks.
Some more Telemann, another couple of movements.
So, we pick up all the stuff that's in this place, all of the good things, all the books, all of the conversations. I remember one fellow returned with his wife and said, "Darling, that's the place I made that decision to do something good and to make a difference." So we take up all those decisions, and it's like when you make a decision, you head out, as I mentioned before, and you try and do stuff in life, and it gets harder, and that's good because it tests your mettle, and it never works out ideally, which is good because it's better than the ideal. It's what's real and what's good about yourself and each other, and there's as much pain in it as there is joy, and there's as much sadness in it as there is a sense of completion, and there's a lot of thorns that you've got to go through that show you more about yourself than you otherwise would have known. So it's all those things we want to pick up into our heart and pick up into our life and put in our bags and carry down the hill. So off we go down that hill. Mike and I are good Goon fans. Going down the hill, lady? No, not the hill, no. No, anything but the hill. So we take it down the hill, and we're arriving now in Penrith. Quick, let's go quickly through Penrith. Don't mention the word Penrith, all right? You just gotta, it's all right. Penrith, Lithgow, something happened again. But we take it all, and we take each other, and we thank God for this place and the way in which I got to think about angels, and I married one, but I think angels gather in a place when you do good things. Angels gather, and I love angelic presence, and this place has a lot of good angels, so we'll invite them into Sydney as well. They may not want to come, but yeah, this is great. So thank you for again, thank you for this place, and we commission each other, and we agree with each other concerning all that's in our heart to do. We agree with each other and give each other permission to search out stuff that we ourselves only know in part right now, but are searching for and intuitively know is there for us, but we need each other to reach for it and grasp it. And so we give each other that permission, that agreement, that blessing and that friendship and that love, and even that disagreement that sharpens and tests us. And as we go from this place, we again take all the good, all the strength, all the decisions, all the covenants, all the quality in the place that they were designed to reside, that being the human heart, and we carry that forward with us. And we bless the city of Sydney. We bless the people of Sydney. We bless the hard places of Sydney, and know that they are not filled by institutions as such, because institutions aren't real. They're filled by people trying to do stuff. And we bless the good. It's right through that whole mix. Amen. Amen. There's a song that Michael and Joy wanted to sing. It was sung on their wedding night. Not their wedding night, actually. By the time the Mike hadn't been to pre-marriage courses, so all he could do was sing all night. It took a long while for their first child to come, actually. And it was a her rather than a him, so he was really confused. But anyway, be that as it may. It's a hymn. And what's it called, Mike? How great is it? How great? What's it?
Darling?
Darling?
Darling.
Thank you. Okay, look at this. This is on the wall. Okay, now if you could bend over sideways, you can see this. Now, Angie. No, it's not your thing, is it? You're kind of more groovy than that, really, aren't you? Okay. Anyone from the 70s here? No, this is a good song. I probably need help singing it because I was brought up a Catholic. I'll give it to John. Michael, do you want this? No, that was Michael. Who can help me out? Warwick, how are you?
Great is thy faithfulness here.
If you don't, I'll sing it.
People will know.
Okay. Steve, oh good, thank you for his help. Don't stand and don't, unless you really want to. Oh, let's stand together, eh? like a wedding, yeah. Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions they fail not. As thou hast been, and forever will be. Great is thy Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
You notice I get to speak right at the end, and it's only going to be very, very brief because it's been a long day. But it's been a delight for me to listen to lots of others speaking about this special day. I just want to really say a couple of things at the end. And for me, it's been reflecting. The two questions for me were, what is it that I will remember as I look back? And the second is, what am I seeing as I look forward? And I think looking back, I know for me the question had to be, well, why are you doing all this? You know, was a reminder of that. And as many of you know, we do a lot of walking, and usually early in the morning we'll walk into Blackheath, down through the mist, and end up at a wonderful place called the Westhill Cafe, and where we have a coffee, and it's the sort of reward at the end of the walk. And they have a little blackboard that they put nice little sort of sayings on every now and then. And a few weeks back, and I have shared this with the visioning group, the last one we had, I went and I sat down. I was reflecting on this question about, in the midst of all the business and the activity, because it's been like a blur for us these last several months, but certainly these last few weeks, was a reminder again as I looked up, and on the blackboard it had the statement, some people change society by just being who they are. And it was a simple, wonderful reminder for me about the things that have inspired me personally to, I suppose, engage with joy too over the years in pressing ahead with the Westhill vision, because it was a reminder of that something special, and I shared it, I guess, when we started today, that something extra special. I had it with Rob that time we met in Terrigal, and he had a lovely way of putting it. You know, there are people that you meet that have just got that, and he used this expression, that sort of factor. It's hard to describe. It's an inexplicable thing. That there are people that somehow inspire you because there is that something extra about them in terms of their richness and their depth and their desire to genuinely do something for the common good. And I guess much more than that, they don't just talk about things. They're people that actually step out and do things. You know, and there's a difference. And so the reminder on the blackboard was a real reminder for me that as I look back, it is to go back and say, what's the why? And it is to do with this whole business of the, what was it described? Not the red bird, it was described as the squeezy bird. It's been described as all sorts of things. This idea of the rare bird spirit. I was going to read you great tracts out of the stuff I've written about rare bird leadership. We do have a flyer which we really seem to use, but I can remember when we first had the idea of this whole concept of nurturing rare birds, and I used to talk passionately about it with people until finally people actually asked me, well, what does it actually mean? And I was really prompted to try and actually write it down. And as many of you remember, I had all this stuff sitting in me, and late one night I sat down in the computer and wrote it all down, and then the computer just went bang like that, and I lost it all. And I invented a whole range of new words at the time, and I was absolutely, I don't think I've, for a long time, I don't think I've been in such a state of unease. And Joy grabbed me and shoved me in the shower and gave me a cup of coffee. And I finally went back to the computer at about 1 in the morning, and let me tell you that without any notes, I just sat in front of that computer and it just flowed out again. So it really had to be, it was there. So I encourage you to ask us for coffee, but it's good. And what we did was to, over the months, I guess, in thinking about particular, and I mean significant leaders that have influenced me, as I think about the idea of rare bird leadership, the Mandelas, the Lech Walesas and the Aung San Suu Kyi and people like that. What I did was identify what I thought were the 5 or 6 or 7 key sort of attributes of those people. What was it that made them really special? And I know one of the dimensions, and there are several, was to be reminded that it really is about the richness of the human spirit. And there's something about the human spirit when it is challenged. There's something about that essence in people which we can look for when we spend time with people, where we can see people wanting to reach for the noblest in them. And I guess that's partly what we try and do with all the gatherings that we have here and all the gatherings that we will have in the city, is to enable that kind of opportunity to occur. I guess you've heard it time and time again by the people that have shared this afternoon, is to seek not to impose on the other, but seek to allow them to give you, to share with you the pearls that are theirs, and for them to reach for the noble stuff that's within them and to share that. I think that's been the call for Westhill, is to create that environment for that to actually occur. So that's the first thing, and I can go on about that, but I think you get the message. You've had it all afternoon. But that is a reminder for me as we go back into the city. In terms of what I see, is, excuse me while I have a swig, this is rather useful in Joy's opinion that I do have this problem, because it actually stops me talking. You know, I can only go for about 5 minutes and then I run out of saliva, so I can't talk anymore. But what do I see as I look forward? I see the younger ones coming through, being enthused again about a desire to really get in there and make a difference. And I just see picture after picture after picture. And those things excite me. And our desire is simply that there be a fellowship of like-minded and like-hearted people in Sydney that continue to have that opportunity to meet and to be encouraged and to dock in when they need to, and not to dock in when they're not around and they're doing the thing that they need to do. We're not trying to gather people together for a collective cause. We're trying to gather people together so that we can encourage each other, and then we can go off and do our own individual thing. Let me leave you with one thought. I had a phone call during the week when I was busy engaged in something, and the phone rang, and this girl came on the phone and said, "Oh, it's Fiona here." And for a moment I know a number of Fionas. I wasn't really quite sure which one it was, and she said, "Oh, it's Fiona Waterhouse." And I don't know if some of you will remember, Fiona was very heavily involved with us some years ago, and her picture is on the wall out here. She was a young Turk Lynne Colley reminds me of her, a young Turk of in her late 20s, a very smart cookie with a lot of intellect and an MBA and an engineering degree, and had a tremendous desire to make a difference in the world of sustainability. And then she vanished off the scene for a couple of years. She came to several events here and to conversations, and she really wanted to change the world. And she rang me and she said, "I'm now in Brisbane and I'm at home waiting for the designer of our new pool in their backyard to arrive, and I was playing around with my old files and I discovered the little helicopter exercise, which is a thing we do here at Conversations, in my drawer of the retreat I came to 4 years ago, and I pulled it out." She said, "And I'm so excited because as I look at it, I realise that the things that I shared that I wanted to do, I'm now doing." And I just wanted to sort of dock in and let you know that. And I mean, I found that hugely encouraging, that, you know, it's an encouragement to you who encourage, that you just never ever know really what seeds that you've actually planted. And so it was a real joy to, you know, to hear from her. And she's wanting to open a branch in Brisbane and do all sorts of things, but she's just been appointed as acting director of a huge government department, a new initiative in sustainability in Queensland, and she's only 31, I think. So again, a great encouragement, and you know, I hope we see lots more stories like that, you know, in the coming years. I think, just to wrap it up, I think I have a great sense as I look forward to, a great sense of expectancy about what will happen in the city, because it sits and it resides in people like you and many others that couldn't be here. There is a great sense of hope, and by golly, we need that hope, and a number of you have actually shared that. You know, we need people that are prepared to make a stand, that are prepared to think of things that are beyond their nose, and have the courage and the initiative to do things. And we just want to continue to create opportunities for that to actually occur down in Sydney. I guess I should close with the quote that Joy started with when we, you know, earlier on today, and it's the Churchill quote. I hope you enjoyed the Lynne thing that went with that. It really caught my fancy. I think you understand the real significance of that. And if you don't, I'll tell you afterwards, if you'd like to spend 5 minutes with me, with the tree that sort of bent over with poor old Lynne down the other end, you know. But this is not the end, you know, this is not even the beginning of the end, but this is the end of the beginning. I hope I got that quite right. Now we're actually going to go out now with a real bang. The musicians can now all start to gather together at the other end. We are going to, the G6 are all required to come up here now. We are going to go out with a bang. The flute will horn, and we work the bagpipes should be around somewhere too.
He's gone.
How is he gone? Not going. And Steve, are you going to be playing for us when the Saints?
Am I going to be playing that or?
Oh, whatever. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Who can play When the Saints on the piano? Anyone can?
Oh no, we've got the accordion. It's all right.
Got the accordion?
Yeah.
Now come on, we need the G6 up here. Come on, guys. We're going to sing. No, you're going to sing with us, right? This is our real going out now. This is. Yeah, Neddy, come on, Neddy, come on, and join me here. This is.
Do you know the words behind that?
No, the words are going to be up. Oh, no,
we can't sing the
yes,
words.
You can. I'll give you the words. We're going to sing.
We can't stand in front of the words.
Can that go up on the roof?
What a great idea. Everybody can lie on.
We'll have to move
You've got to have
across,
words. Yeah, no, you all have the words. Come on, quick.
Hey.
1, 2.
Don't stand in front of the words.
No.
He wrote them.
Oh, it's unusual horns.
Here you go. Go on. No.
That's good.
Andy, come on. I think Andy should probably lead us, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, what a good idea.
Andy?
Hey.
What would that look like on that up there, mate?
Hey.
What would that look like up there?
That's all right.
I'm worried there's people
Come on, you've all got to join in, okay? The Saints go marching in. When the Saints go marching in, I wanna be in that number. When the Saints go marching in, oh yeah. If the grace of the white, coming down to Sydney side, we wanna be in that number. When the Well, that's the official the official close. You are welcome to stay on and enjoy. And but this is the official end, and it was just a joy to have you guys. And thank you again for coming. Tea, coffee, loos, etc.
Well done, Mike.
Thanks, thanks for that.
As it is in their early 20s, and
I wonder how old Lincoln is. He must be late 20s. Isn't he? Is he not? Do you know?
Must be.
I can't. Yeah, it's not early 20s. So
filming.
He's a rat bag and recording.
Official things share their thoughts. Pretty well run
Well, my thoughts. I don't want them to go. I like the place. No, it'll be hard not having Westhill to come up to. Definitely is a place of solitude and nurturing and plugging back in and going back to the city with revived energies. Yeah, so I'll miss you.
So what are you doing now that you're back? Just hanging?
Same thing. Just
You know, because we bought it, and then you know we be careful, but yeah, we're talking about something else. It is really embarrassing. How do you do? I should do a Dudley. How do you do? You know. No, we had to. We're putting a new kitchen in. And wall unit.
It's on Westhill, seeing you didn't get a chance to do it.
Oh, wow, this is the daughter. My thoughts on Westhill. Well, she wants the most. I guess, my thoughts at the start of the night. Westhill, I haven't been involved in the sort of Westhill conversations, meetings, that sort of thing. I've known about the vision and I've supported that, you know, emotionally and with prayers and stuff. It's just been a holiday place for me, a chance to see my good mates, come and see my friends, be able to just unload, dump on Joy, and and have a little hug and all the rest of it, give Michael cheek and get cheek back. It's very special. I have come up here stressed out when I was studying and stayed in the cabin many times and walked in the bush and heard the wind in the trees, and I felt very sad when I arrived today and saw the rope across the road, and it just suddenly hit me that it was like barred from now on, that I wouldn't be able to drive down that road again, and I did feel very sorry about that. But the vision lives on. The vision lives on. Thank you. Thank you.
What do I have to say? Well, for me, this place, I had my wedding reception here, so that's probably my fondest memory of Westhill. Just out here on the grass, we had a marquee, and I had a very special day here, and I've enjoyed many family occasions, many Christmases with you guys as well up here, but I'm sure that's going to live on in the new place that Mum and Dad are in the city. But thanks Mum and Dad for this place and for inviting many of our friends here as well. Alex and I have invited friends up here on many occasions and enjoyed that as well. Thank you.
You've got to say your thoughts on Westhill.
My thoughts on Westhill. Good.
What you would have said if you didn't.
It's a great place. I think I've met very interesting people. Some of them on the same wavelength. And inspiring, very inspiring. The books are inspiring, the people are inspiring, and a very, very relaxing place. So I'm going to miss Westhill in the Blue Mountains because the place is also very, very special. But obviously God is leading us to another spot which is going to be equally interesting, even better. But the people are going to be there anyway. So thanks very much, Michael and Joy, and see you down in the city.
So yeah.
Joy and Michael. Joy and Michael, I am so pleased that the Holy Spirit put it on my heart to come here as soon as Joy sent us the invitation. My friend said that I was too sick today to come and I should ask Jesus whether I should come or not, but I did not ask Jesus because I knew that Jesus wanted me here anyway. There's been such a spiritual, beautiful, blessed day, another miracle and another slice of heaven. And I'm so pleased to find out that this gentleman, Wayne, are you really Joy's brother? How sweet. What a sweet uncle, Joy's brother. One brother?
Yeah.
One brother? Oh, how nice. It's nice. It is just like being in heaven. Another bit of heaven for me. And thank you for my husband, Roland, who puts up with me and takes me wherever I want to go. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
I just think Westhill is a fantastic organisation. I'd like to echo what everyone else has said about having, like-minded people to encourage each other in our individual pursuits. Not having an agenda as a group, but having individual agendas which we encourage each other in. And I think it's going to be fantastic to have that in the city to reach a wider group, and also having a retreat out on the Cox's River. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I wish Michael and Joy all the best in that endeavour in the city, and I'd just like to thank them again for having the vision in the first place. Go guys.
Thoughts? I've had a very enjoyable afternoon, and I'm really interested to meet all these creative people, including yourself. And I remember you from Sydney Uni Music Department in the 70s. I remember your face, the Renaissance players running in and out, and Yeah, if you knew me at all, you would have known me as a French horn player. But I was studying. I wasn't in the Renaissance players, but I, used to have Winsome as a tutor, and
They've got a concert coming up on Friday night.
Yeah, I heard them on the radio last night.
Yesterday morning, yeah. St Andrew's Cathedral.
So there you go. That's my contribution to.
Nothing to say about Westhill?
Oh, so much has been said. I'm just lost for words.
Well, I haven't really been part of this. I've just been friends with Joy and Michael, so for me it's just all lost that they're moving so far away, but we wish them well. They're beautiful folk, and we pray God's blessing upon them.
Well, Joy and Michael and their lovely daughters. Anyway, they're lovely people, and they've been like a second family to me, and very special. And it's been wonderful to come up here and spend some time just with the Lord in the cottage, and it's a very special place. And thank you, Joy and Michael. I love you
What to Mike and Joy Morgan? Mike and Joy, I wanted to say to you, you have inspired me to have courage. The way you are people destined to put markers on top of a hill, you'll run up a hill, you'll set a marker there, and you'll enjoy the run up, So I really appreciate the courage, and thank you for that. And you're a couple who'll continue to do that, no doubt. You just get up that mountain and just put that flagpole in the ground, and you just give it a good shout, and we'll all come running up after you. So thank you. God bless you. Love you heaps. See ya.
You can't have me on this thing. What am I sharing about Westhill?
Seems to be the occasion.
Seems to be the topic of the day, yeah. You can talk about anything, really. You can talk about something else, yes.
Well, my voice is really sore.
The mic close.
Thank you. Westhill.
I'll stand away.
Yeah, I don't want to catch it.
I don't know what to say. It's been a part family home for me, part retreat. Long time. Yeah, 6 years. For anyone that's watching this, not knowing that I'm the son-in-law of Michael and Joy, that is why it feels like a part home. Gosh. inspirational, I suppose. It's my name. Have you been interviewed, Angela?
She's been done.
Okay. A giving place, definitely. And yeah, I don't know, but I'm glad that I don't have to drive up here so often anymore as well. So they can come to us now rather than us coming to them. Thank you.
Okay, my name's Stephen Baxter. I'm from Melbourne, so I'm a real ring-in. What I think is it's very profound, it's very grassroots, it's very real, and it gets you right in the heart. And I think that's really good.
Well, I'd just like to say how much I have enjoyed being a part of the Westhill experience. Initially I came here because I'm a cook and I was helping Joy with the cooking, which was such a big job for her. But then I sort of captured that it was more than just entertaining people, that there was a real spirit here that was different. And so I caught that spirit, and many a times we've had very esoteric conversations around the tables around here and met many people, and I wish them all the best as they take it forth.
Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. Yep. Westhill matters a lot to my family and I, because we have been at Blackheath now for 5 years, and the first place we stayed at was here at Westhill as we went through the process of negotiating with the church. Ever since then, Michael and Joy have been a great support and encouragement to my wife and I, and we're really going to miss them. I know it's not exactly to do with the Westhill vision, but they have, unbeknownst to themselves, been a great support and encouragement to me in my ministry here at Blackheath. Thanks, Michael and Joy, and God be with you for the future.
Share some thoughts about.
I was just saying to Juliet, I met Michael and Joy at Blackheath Baptist Church about 5.5 years ago, and we become good friends since then.
How did they
And Joy and Michael particularly asked me to look after their house here, that if they go away on holidays for a weekend or a week or a couple of weeks, that I look after Westhill. So this place is very special. But at the same time, I wish Michael and Joy all the very best in Sydney. And I've got a sneaking suspicion you might be in Manly from what was being said this afternoon, which is fine. Manly's my old stamping ground when I was a kid, so it's pretty good. And it's a million miles from nowhere, as they say, or a million miles from care. So anyway, so thank you for letting me be a part of Westhill, and thank you for letting me be a part of Westhill Vision too. Thank you.